By the spring of 2026, the geopolitical landscape of the Middle East had fractured. Following a coordinated United States and Israeli strike that killed Iran's supreme leader, the skies over the Islamic Republic became a theater of high-intensity warfare, where any aircraft entered the most contested airspace on the planet. Deep inside this environment, a U.S. Air Force F-15E Strike Eagle, call sign Dude 44, was operating a night strike mission over the Zagros Mountains. The two-man crew, belonging to the 494th Fighter Squadron, was flying deep inside hostile territory under the cover of total darkness. The assumption of air dominance vanished when an Iranian shoulder-fired missile locked onto the jet's thermal signature. The missile was sucked into the right engine, instantly shredding the turbine and severing hydraulic lines. The crew had seconds to act before the G-forces of the spin rendered them unconscious, forcing a violent ejection into the freezing upper atmosphere. This single shoot-down forced a pivot in military strategy. The focus shifted from offensive bombing runs to an immediate high-stakes rescue crisis, as leadership realized their assumptions about destroyed radar networks were incorrect. The pilot landed in a manageable region and established immediate contact. Within 7 hours, he was recovered during a daytime thunder run, protected by a formation of A-10 Warthogs that positioned themselves between the rescue helicopters and the responding Iranian ground forces. The backseat weapons systems officer faced a different set of challenges. He landed miles away on a steep incline of sharp rocks. The impact severely sprained his ankle and left him with deep lacerations, bleeding into the rocky soil in total isolation. Iranian state television broadcast an alert, offering a $60,000 bounty for information leading to his capture. Thousands of troops, militia members, and local tribesmen began a methodical search of the mountains, narrowing the search radius by the hour. The terrain of the Zagros Mountains provided almost no natural cover. It is a labyrinth of steep cliff faces and sparse, thorny vegetation, making any attempt at evasion a physical and tactical nightmare. With the search parties closing in, the wounded airmen had to stay hidden long enough for the Pentagon to coordinate an extraction plan from a distance of thousands of miles. To avoid the vehicle patrols sweeping the valley floors, the officer dragged himself up a steep, rocky incline to a ridgeline 7,000 feet above sea level. This maneuver made him harder to reach by ground searchers and provided a clearer line of sight for his communication equipment. His survival depended on a device the size of a brick, the AN/PRQ-7 Combat Survivor Evader Locator, or C-cell beacon. Unlike traditional radios that emit continuous, detectable signals, the C-cell utilizes technology that compresses encrypted data into split-second bursts. These signals bounce off satellites to provide precise GPS coordinates directly to Washington, bypassing the need for local radio towers that could be monitored by the enemy. While the airmen remained hidden, the CIA launched a cyber misinformation campaign. By seeding a false narrative into Iranian networks that the American was already moving toward a border, they successfully diverted search units to entirely wrong provinces. Survival in this context relied on a combination of physical endurance and the use of digital deception to buy the time necessary for an extraction force to arrive. The rescue mission was nearly halted when the officers sent a cryptic, non-standard transmission, "God is good." Commanders at the Pentagon feared the radio had been captured and was being used to lure the rescue team into a lethal ambush. Surveillance drones were used to peer through the darkness at the mountain crevice. Once intelligence teams observed the officer moving alone and confirmed he was not under duress or capture, the trap theory was dismissed and the mission was given the green light. To provide cover for the extraction, B-2 stealth bombers struck a fortified headquarters near Tehran. This strike served as a massive diversion, pulling the regime's attention and command resources hundreds of miles to the north. Closer to the mountain, U.S. fighters dropped approximately 100 bombs to crater the access roads leading into the range. This created a physical barrier, preventing Iranian reinforcements from reaching the extraction zone. By cratering the road networks and jamming local communications, the U.S. military physically isolated the mountain range, building a temporary fortress of fire to protect a single airman. The final stage involved establishing an improvised dirt runway deep inside Iranian territory. Elite commandos fast-roped into the darkness to secure the perimeter and prepare the site for the extraction aircraft. Special operators scaled the ridge and pulled the exhausted officer from his hiding spot. As they descended, a firefight erupted with approaching Iranian troops, with the Americans using night vision optics to navigate the rocky brush under AK-47 fire. They reached the runway and loaded the airmen onto the waiting MC-130J transport planes. However, the ground was too soft to support the weight of the aircraft. As the pilots throttled up, the wheels sank deep into the wet, sandy mud, hopelessly immobilizing the extraction force. The mud had turned the multi-million-dollar technological advantage into a stationary target. The rescue team was now stranded on the ground as the dawn approached, and enemy forces converged on the noise of the engines. Commanders faced a split-second choice. They could not wait to dig the planes out, and they could not leave the classified technology for the Iranian military to recover. A contingency plan was executed immediately. Smaller, more agile CASA transport planes landed on the firmest parts of the dirt strip, allowing the special operators to cross-load the wounded officer and the entire rescue team. Before taking off, the team set incendiary charges inside the stuck planes and helicopters. As the CASAs lifted off into the dawn sky, the remaining equipment was blown to pieces, ensuring no usable technology was left behind. The rescue of Dude 44 represents the operational reality of the Leave No Man Behind doctrine. It shows the logistical reach required to isolate a specific region of a sovereign nation and the willingness to sacrifice millions in equipment to ensure an airman does not die alone.